Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'll be fixing some more of your tanks. Now before we begin, if you haven't already, please subscribe and also turn on those notifications. I don't usually do this, but I know a lot of you have complained that you don't usually get my videos in your subscription box or recommended, and YouTube's answer to this is to tell you guys to click that notification bell. And don't worry, I only post every 4 days, so I won't bombard you with notifications. Anyway, let's get on to the first setup. So the first one comes from Andrea. She has some questions about her Gecko's Bioactive Tank. It's currently 10 gallons and she wanted to know if she should go bigger. Yes, to me 10 gallons is on the small side. I think now I'd recommend a minimum of 20 gallons. So if you can go 20 or even 30, then I'd definitely recommend that. She also asked if she should change from analog to digital. Yes, I'm all for the digital thermometer, and whether I have some tips for live plants in her tank as her gecko keeps digging them up. So a couple problems I do see with this tank is it does look like you're using EcoF as a substrate. I may be wrong, but EcoF doesn't really support plant growth, and also there isn't a drainage layer. And if we refer back to that video I did, the step-by-step guide to building a bioactive tank, it is important that there is a drainage layer. So I'd recommend getting a bigger tank, creating that drainage layer, add in some more bioactive substrate, and if the digging is a problem, maybe you could do something like set up some rocks and put the succulent amongst them, so the succulent emerges from them but your gecko can't get there to dig them. Or maybe you could use some kind of cocoa fiber plant pot that can be easily hidden amongst the substrate. Next up, we have a Crested Gecko setup from Sean. Now, apparently, this is a 10 gal Exoterra. I don't know if that is 30 by 30 by 45 centimeter. You will have to let me know. But basically, he wants to create more shade in the tank. I guess he means more places to hide. So, first things first, I'd probably suggest adding more to the top of the tank. I know you said in your email that a coconut hide may be too big. If this seems too big in the tank, you may want a larger tank. You didn't let me know how old the gecko is or how big exactly the tank is, but just remember that 45 by 45 by 60 centimeters is the minimum for an adult. So you want to create places high up for your gecko to sleep in, whether that be more hanging plants, a coconut hide, or even one of those magnetic hides you can put up high. In general, they just like to be quite high up. Also, I know you asked in the email if studying in your room at night would be an issue. I don't think so. I have found that if my room light's on or the TV's on, it doesn't really disturb the geckos too much, but of course allow them to have a good few hours of darkness throughout the night. Next, we have a quick question from Chloe. So basically she wants to know how to get or make a cheaper 3D background for her Gecko Diego. She looked at where I got mine and they're quite pricey, that is true. I spent a lot on the backgrounds. I kind of thought they'd have them for ages, but now I want to upgrade the tanks even more, so yeah. So the good thing is there's actually quite a variety of 3D or textured backgrounds out there. I have heard bad things about the Exoterra one because the leopard geckos will try to climb it and their little nails in that foam is very annoying, and they can get behind it sometimes, so maybe keep away from those. You could always get like some sort of textured background and add things on top of that, whether you use expanding foam or aquarium safe sealant. Maybe screw things in, though you might want to check that the screws don't rust. Alternatively, I know Arcadia, for example, have a setup for their leopard gecko where they have stuck pieces of slate to the background or the back of the tank. I would suggest using smaller pieces, not just one big slab of slate, because that might be too heavy and you don't want that falling off the background, so lots of little bits. So there are lots of different things you can do. You can even get a basic cork background and attach cork pieces to it, and even add some air plants to create this interesting look. So there's lots of different options out there. Next, we're going to take a little break from critiquing and look at things I liked along the way as I went through your emails. So Nicole here has this really lovely big tank for her gecko, but one thing I really liked was there was this cold side, warm side holder or display for the thermometers. I think that was a really cool idea for anyone wanting to just make things clear for themselves and be able to just peek over and see what the temperatures are. I think that's really cool. I also saw this leopard gecko tank from Mike. that I thought was really cool and really different. Obviously there's a fair bit of moss in there, so I hope that doesn't make the humidity too high, but I think this is a really cool look. And these tanks from Evan are also really nice and really different, so I hope these all give you some inspiration. Anyway, back to fixing setup. So next we have a tank from Ivana. Now this is a fish tank that has been transformed into a gecko tank, and I think Ivana basically wants some tips or advice. She's not exactly sure of the size of the tank, but I would say from this photo, the tank and the hide looks a little on the small side. So if you're able to, I would highly recommend aiming to get a bigger tank and some larger hides. I like what you're doing here, but if you can do that on a bigger scale, that would be even better. The next one is from Hallie. She wants to know if her gecko's tank is too small. There was a mix up with the size of the tank, and when it arrived it was 20 by 10 by 10 inches. Unfortunately, this is too small for an adult leopard gecko. I'd say if you're looking for another glass tank, go for something like the Exoterra 24-inch long tank, or bigger if you can go bigger. And finally, we have a really nice spacious setup from Caitlin, and she is wondering if she could use a ceramic heat emitter, as she's currently using a heat mat, but the surface does not stay around 90 degrees. You can totally use a ceramic heat emitter, or even better, a deep heat projector. One downside to a heat mat is you can have all this space for your gecko, but they kind of end up being restricted to the mat because it's the only warm thing, and sometimes the mat just is not powerful enough to get through the glass and properly heat your gecko. So yes, you can totally change to a ceramic heat emitter or deep heat projector. Just make sure you use the appropriate thermostat with it. So yeah, thank you for all your entries. There were tons, and one thing I really love about doing these videos is not only does it inspire me, but I know it inspires you guys, more ideas and stuff for tanks, because there's no one way of keeping a leopard gecko or a crested gecko. You can have a completely more basic tank where you have your carpet or paper towel and a few hides, and you can go full on naturalistic or bioactive. There are so many different options, and I like that we can display that on here. I know in the previous video a lot of you guys asked how you could enter your setups. Make sure you follow me on Instagram, because when I am looking for setups, that's where I'll do a post. So I'll leave that link here somewhere, and it's always in the description anyway. But yeah, I hope this video has helped. Thank you for watching, guys, and goodbye.